Futures Radio Show, sponsored by CME Group, the world's leading and most diverse futures and options exchange. CME Group's markets help individuals and businesses around the world effectively manage risk. For access to free educational tools and resources for the active individual trader, please visit activetrader.cmegroup.com.
Every day, traders and investors dive in to tackle the ever-changing markets to find opportunity. Futures Radio Show is your number one source for answers to the questions that all market participants want to ask. Veteran futures trader Anthony Crudele sits down with the most influential leaders and top traders in the industry. Now, here's your host, Anthony Crudele.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for this episode with Ilana Fraines. Remember, new shows are posted every Monday and Thursday. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes and YouTube. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a review on iTunes. Before I play today's interview for you, I want to give a shout out to the great sponsors of Futures Radio Show: CME Group, Trading Technologies, RJO Futures, and Top Step Trader. To learn more about these sponsors and the important things they are doing for futures traders, be sure to click on their logos on our website. Today I spoke with Ilana Fraines, co-founder and lead blockchain developer at Token AI. In our chat, Ilana tells us why and how she became a blockchain developer. We talked about her company, Token AI. She explains how people build new blockchains off of Bitcoin and Ethereum, gives us her thoughts on the current pricing of coins, explains the difference between blockchain and crypto, and last but not least, she tells us how AI can help crypto traders. Without further ado, let me take you right to the interview with Ilana. Ilana, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to speak with you today. So you're a blockchain developer, and although it seems like blockchain's been around for a while, it's a very new business. So what I'm interested in is, how did you learn about blockchain? And then what education, or how did you educate yourself on becoming a blockchain developer?
Sure. I had a job that we had a hackathon at, and we introduced the Ethereum blockchain on how it could apply to our business. I actually did not participate in the hackathon, but I watched closely. I was very uncertain about what this blockchain stuff was. And then I think I put it away for maybe half a year or so. And my partner, Lanoff, was in it for a while. I think he got introduced at Burning Man, which we're both big burners. And he sort of started nudging me and was like, have you seen what's going on in early 2017? Have you seen what's going on? And I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. And then finally, just one day, I sort of delved into it and I was like, oh my God, the light bulb went off. And I was like, this is the new web, 3.0, and everybody's going to move to this insane technology for many reasons. And so I went big on it. And yeah, we developed Token AI from there.
You said the light bulb went off. What was it that made you say to yourself, look, I need to jump into this? Describe that moment.
The biggest implication I see is on the financial industry. And that was where I was like, I think currency and money needs to be recreated, or needed to be recreated as a fundamental valued transaction measurement. And I think that the intermediaries need to be sort of reinvented and maybe even removed. And so from that perspective, I was just blown away. And then when I moved into specifically how blockchain technologies work in terms of being able to track things, identity management, and that it allowed basically the user or the consumer to be in control of everything and opt in almost on any little decision, but in a really easy manner. I don't think we have the interfaces yet, but that's all being built as we speak to interact with this technology. And that's one of the reasons we did invent Token AI. But yeah, I think that was the biggest light bulb. So it was a currency thing, and then the actual technology and the ownership over your decision making and over the things that you value. So whether it be identity or currency or a car or a house, or your health record. So that's what blew me away. And then furthermore, it was the community that was building all of this. I really enjoyed the open source movement when it came out in software development in general. And I was big on that versus like proprietary technologies to develop with. And so I see that this is the next evolution sort of community sharing code and building on top of what's already built moving forward rather than recreating and answering the same questions in different silos over and over again.
So I love it. A light bulb went off and then you went out and started Token AI. Is that what happened?
Yes, actually, I turned back around to Lawrence, who had been nudging me after my light bulb went off. And I was like, we have to do something in this space. And he said, hey, I just started a month ago talking to Sam, our other partner. And we've sort of decided to do this, this, and this. And this is Token AI. But the very early version of what Token AI was, as we've had many iterations since then. And I was like, sure, I want to join. I want to be involved in the community any way I can. And they needed somebody that was extremely technology oriented and could do development. And so I jumped in. I started building contracts and playing around with them on the Ethereum blockchain.
Can you explain to everyone what Token AI is?
Sure. This version of Token AI is aiming to be the betterment of cryptocurrency, allowing people to invest in cryptocurrencies and giving them the answer of what should I buy, because that was a question that everyone asked, especially all through 2017. And so basically we give you that answer through the use of our proprietary AI algorithm that we've named Juliet. And so Juliet tells you what to buy. She can create portfolios for you. Or she can analyze various tokens for you. So like if you've heard XRP or EOS and you're like, should I get this token? You plug it into our system and she gives you the read for it. Buy, sell, hold.
Okay, so what is all of that based on? How is it determining, like you said, buy, sell, or hold?
Yes, we have multiple iterations of our AI happening, but basically the idea is very similar to how hedge funds work and their AI strategies that they implement. They're looking at various signals. It's obviously proprietary, so we can't tell you everything.
Yeah.
But the idea is she gets a holistic view that's quantitative on that coin, on that token, and generates portfolios and allocations based on that. So how the coin has been doing, how the social reading is looking like, are people participating in development, their GitHub? Is it just README documents or is there actual code updates? How do people feel about the project? How are the owners? So being able to do that holistic, overview analysis. As well as some momentum information. And we have the version 2 coming out relatively soon that's optimized on Sharpe ratio. And the idea is very much that you will have consistent gains, whether they be less risky or more risky. It's still based on consistency.
Very cool. How can traders access it?
It's accessed at platform.tokenai.io. We just changed I just did an update this week so that people can get 5 tokens or credits on the system right when they sign up. We've removed our KYC process. So it's a really simple onboarding and they can test out the tool. Right now we're charging like 1 credit or 1 token for a coin analysis. And I think it's 3 tokens for a portfolio generation. And it's a continuous portfolio generation, so it might be different tomorrow than it is today. And so we're adding a lot of layers around this, but this is our first generation tool. By layers, I mean like actually notifying you when things change, being able to record where your current holdings are, and being able to proportionalize like, oh, if this coin goes up 15%, or this coin goes up or down, this much percent, then I want to be notified, things like that. So we're getting more advanced with how we talk to you about the signals, but right now we're offering the information and we're registered with the SEC as investment advisors.
Curious, why get registered with the SEC if these cryptos, that you're talking about aren't being regulated by the SEC?
This is a good Sam question, but it's actually one of our biggest efforts to legitimize and make our company legitimate by the standards of how investing and the mechanisms of investing work today in the government organizations. So we have huge legal bills just to make sure that people feel safe and are safe, and basically creates a layer of oversight, by a third-party organization that makes sure that we're following all the rules. We're not telling you, to invest in something that we own, like tipping markets and things like that. So the main deal is so that the people feel safe, that the users feel safe and are safe because we're overseen by a higher authority.
So I want to move on and talk about cryptos themselves. I mean, you being a blockchain developer, you obviously understand the blockchain really well. And what I want to know is, and I think that a lot of people don't understand this, self included, how do you use the technology of, let's just say, a Bitcoin or Ethereum to then build a crypto or another blockchain off of them?
Yeah, so Ethereum blockchain is the current standard for creating tokens. They have a process called smart contracts, which is in their own Solidity programming language. So you're allowed to actually program rules in a contract and deploy them on that network. And the rules can be, as any software rules. If this happens, then this happens. But there's a standard definition for these transfer of coins that you create an initial supply of, and you're able to transfer from wallet to wallet. So you deploy one of these on the Ethereum blockchain, and you're able to create a token. And that's how the majority of tokens have been created. So Ethereum, because it's a Turing complete, has its own Turing complete language underneath it, you're allowed to create these, structures of code, and including tokens, but anything else also. On Bitcoin, it's a little bit more difficult to create these definitions or these templates. So I would say that Ethereum is more created for this token creation process, that blockchain. And there's, quite a few, but a handful of different blockchains that have their own versions of this. So I think Waves, the Waves blockchain, you're also able to create tokens and share them with people and things like this, and define various contracts.
Does someone have to actually own Bitcoin or Ethereum to build off of those blockchains?
Nope. Especially Ethereum, they have and Bitcoin too. There are test networks, and you just deploy. It does cost Ether to deploy, so technically you do need some, but I believe doing it on the test networks you don't need it. So technically no, but you are using fake Ether. So Ether is what drives Ethereum. The Ether token is what drives these transactions of movement. So just to even deploy a contract or a set of rules or this token definition, you do need to give the system some Ether, but it could be fake Ether or on the test net. But that's what I mean by fake.
You mentioned that Ethereum is a standard. So if Ethereum is a standard right now that all these developers are building on, why isn't it taking really the place as the lead coin over Bitcoin?
I think mostly because it's more so you can build on this blockchain versus Bitcoin being a store of value right now, where it's actual money transactions. And so it's second to Bitcoin, but it's still, building out. It's still rather unscaled. So it's still building up, and it may one day take over. I think that we have yet to see who's going to be the reigning currency provider for in the blockchain space. Right now it is Bitcoin, but Ether's right under in terms of its value store, and it's risen quite a bit at the end of last year, and it's holding its value still at somewhere around 200, I think. But we don't know yet who's going to be. And I think Bitcoin was first. Ether came out, I think, in 2015, whereas Bitcoin is now, I think, 10 years old. We just celebrated the white paper birthday. So I just think it's a time thing. We don't know yet who's going to be the reigning cryptocurrency queen and king.
Yeah, and these cryptos have come well off their highs, and as we record today, they've really just been in a tight range near their recent lows, majority of the ones that I look at. What are your thoughts on the price of cryptos right now?
So I think this year is a year of building. The altcoins, I would say, which the majority, again, have been all built on the Ethereum platform. They're at their all-time lows, I would say, right? But, even if you look at Ether, it's still up from if you had started a couple of years ago. You're, very happy with where it's gone. Same with Bitcoin. So it's really these altcoins, I would say, is that they're on their lows at the moment. And I think that's because of the projects behind them. They've received a lot of money, and it's a time of rebuilding. So there was a lot of hype, Coinbase, which was a very easy onboarding tool to link your bank account to, and then buy these top, I guess, 3, 4, 5 now cryptocurrencies. And so it was an easy way to get in because, God knows 2-3 years ago, getting crypto was insanely complicated. So it became easy to do so. And because of that, a lot of people were able to get in. As they add more tokens, the liquidity and the exchanging becomes more simple. And so we'll see what the projects, have in store for them. Everybody's just building right now. We don't know which projects are going to die off and which projects are going to survive. So it's a lot of .com bust right now. But from that will rise some really legitimate technologies and projects and teams. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we definitely will. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Do you think that the price of these cryptos, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, because we've talked a lot about them today, and like we said, they're pretty much the top two, are tied to the growth of blockchain? Because what if they keep going down in price? Is that going to hurt the growth of blockchain, or do you think the price really doesn't matter? Blockchain is going to grow no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's going to grow no matter what. The technology that the coins are built on, the actual blockchain, which is kind of two separate things, is still finding its stride. Like all the uses that we're going to be using it for, whether it's, again, like identity management or healthcare record, like we aren't using those things on the blockchain right now at all. Most people only know about cryptocurrency. And even that as a form of money exchange there's, some projects out there that are doing some stable coins that don't change in value so drastically. So we're able to exchange them and agree that, one Bitcoin is a chair or one XYZ coin is a chair, and then be able to actually exchange that where tomorrow it doesn't become, a nail or something like that, yeah. The value of. So you mentioned, I don't think it's going away.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either. But so I think that a lot of people make the mistake of aligning the two as the same thing. And right. They are different. I mean, I am a big believer in blockchain. People ask me what I think about cryptos, and I'm like, well, I don't really know about cryptos, but I think that blockchain, I'm very bullish, right? I think that it's just going to continue to grow. Explain the difference, everybody out there, between blockchain and crypto.
Right. So crypto is built on the blockchain. That's the most simple, I guess, explanation that I would give. Without the blockchain, you don't have crypto. Crypto is an example of a store of value on the blockchain. So the blockchain is this huge ledger, and a cryptocurrency is the movement of money or value on this ledger. So that's basically my explanation of it.
I tell people the same thing, right? And people always say to me, well, what do you mean by a ledger? Can you give us a little bit more of an example of how the blockchain is?
So a ledger is very simply like a bank ledger. So back in the day before we had computers, we would write things down in this ledger book. XYZ person has taken out $10 from their account and given it to this ZYX person. And now this ZYX person's account is increased by $10 and, XYZ has decreased by $10. That is a transaction. And the ledger is basically a store of all these transactions, so you know how much XYZ has at any given time. And we've gotten more and more advanced so that you can't double spend, with technology taking over the ledger process, not just blockchain. That was a big problem that banks needed to face, so that I can't take out $100 twice from my ATM machine, basically. And so blockchains are very, very good at this, and they're immutable. So you can never erase a transaction that has already occurred, and they're always moving forward in time.
So this goes back to one of the light bulbs that went off when you were,
yes,
right? So
yes.
What I am still curious about is how you access the blockchain itself. If I were to say to you today, Ilana, I want to be able to look at the blockchain, how do you do that?
Right. I would say we don't have very great interfaces for it right now, and that's something that's called a DApp in essence. It could be just a block explorer if you're just looking at coin transaction value. So you can plug in this crazy number and into a block explorer, and it will tell you like the balance of that wallet address, for instance. That's one way to interact with the blockchain, to see what your account is at, like where your account is at and all the transactions, so you can view it. Another way is through various dApps. So it's like a Web3 library, I would say, for the Ethereum network. And that you basically build a web page on top of it, and it accesses the blockchain and it's a database. The blockchain's like a database. And so it can transact onto it or read, information from it to you. And so you'd be able to press buttons and say, read me this, or, execute this vote, and that's basically why it's the next step in using web interfaces. So it's like the secure transaction database behind them.
Yeah, because right now with these phones that we have and everything, you access your bank accounts in, 2 seconds. You don't even have to put a password anymore. You just look into the phone and it shows you, your bank account. So I've been wondering, how, if I have multiple coins, like I've owned Bitcoin and Ethereum at the same time, is there going to be a way for me to be able to, or is there a way right now for me to be able to view both of them with my transactions besides going through a Coinbase or something like that? And there's no like back end to this or anything. Is it always going to be going through whoever, I guess you would call it like a clearing firm, or going through the exchange?
Right. So I think that's the big opportunity, and one of my favorite places for evolution and building in this space is actually that, to make it very user friendly. And I think we're a little bit far from that. And even in this last year, the first time I accepted Bitcoin, not this year, but last year, I would say, I accepted Bitcoin. It was a really scary process, because you're dealing with real money, you're getting paid for something, and you want to make sure that you can get that money. And it's not a little amount either, which is one of the things you should always do first, test with small amounts. But yeah, it's very scary, and it's not user friendly right now. Carrying around and throwing around these crazy addresses, I would say. And so I think, this is a big opportunity, and I'm very interested in it, building dApps, basically. So entryways into into these blockchains, and possibly even a centralized version or a tool that allows people to see all kinds of wallet addresses that they own and be able to transact with them from various blockchains. So the integration protocol and integration between them and the apps on top of them are still very far and few in between that are like usable and good.
Let's go back to token AI for a moment. You've said that AI can really be beneficial to newcomers getting into crypto. How so?
Well, the idea is that you get AI to use. So you don't actually even have to interact with it, kind of like Siri. Like, you don't really know what Siri is doing. You just ask her a question and she gives you the answer. So basically we have AI Juliet behind the scenes doing her business and then just outputting the information for you. And so our goal was to take, Wall Street level tools and provide them to the mainstream population, because we believe investing is super important for gaining ownership over wealth and growing your wealth, and sort of brings the power to the people, if you know what I mean, where mostly these kinds of tools are only accessible to people with large amounts of money in huge institutions and things like that.
How many coins are you guys following at Token AI?
I think it's the top market share. So we make sure, I think it's the top 100 coins, but possibly more. We look through all of them, but we make sure that there's enough liquidity in the market before we give advice on a token, or say, buy this one or sell this or whatever the trading may be. So that's our main rule of thumb.
So you have to get in the top 100 for Token AI to take a look at you.
You have to have liquidity in the marketplace so that users can buy and sell your token.
Do you own any cryptos?
I don't own any tokens right now. I actually happen to sell off at the highs of last year. And when I do buy, it's usually to develop things. So if I need to test stuff on our network and things like that right now. But I do feel like there might be a good buying opportunity at the moment. I think that the market will pick up, very soon.
Nice sales. Good work. Great stuff, Ilana. I have some rapid fire questions next if you're ready for those.
Sure.
All right, everyone. Our rapid fire segment is sponsored by Trading Technologies. Access the global markets from virtually anywhere with TT. They are the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform. And now you can trade cryptocurrency spot and derivative markets side by side. For more information, please visit tradingtechnologies.com. Ilana, who has influenced your life the most and why?
My life in general?
Well, your business life.
Currently, it's got to be Lawrence, my partner. I think he's driven a lot of what I'm doing today in many different areas, including just even taking this interview with you. I was very much not into the public speaking realm, and now I'm, doing conferences, and it's been really amazing side of my career, I think. So that and his investing advice as well. He's like, just buy some ether and don't think about it, So, and he's changed my life. I mean, in many ways, very positive.
What was one of the hardest things for you to overcome in becoming a blockchain developer?
Resources. I think early on, there weren't as many resources as you'd like. So when you run into problems, the ever-changing technology didn't have answers. So sometimes you would download some code from GitHub and you try to run it and it's not working. And you're just like, help me, please, somebody. And they're like, oh, things have changed. That library has totally changed in the last, month. So do this and hack this part. But getting help was thankfully really easy to do. The communities are really awesome.
What would be one resource that you would recommend for others out there learning to become a blockchain developer?
The best resource is each other, communities. I'm really avid on sharing information. Sometimes just even watching somebody do their thing that you want to do too, really helps. Like it unblocks you and sets many light bulbs off.
How would you classify Bitcoin and Ethereum? Are they a store of value, digital currency, commodity, combination of two, or all three?
I think a combination of two. I think they're definitely a store of value. And what was the second one?
Digital currency.
Yeah, definitely a digital currency.
What is one attribute that you believe every trader should have?
One attribute. Unfortunately, it's very contradictory to our business, but I think instinct is if you're just doing general trading, it probably is the best. I've heard that people have gut instincts, and I've sort of seen myself with my gut instincts on the bigger moves that I've made. So, but use AI if you want, just slow and steady.
Favorite book you've read lately?
My favorite book that I'm reading right now has a lot to. It's a Marcos Lopez de Prado, and it was recommended by Josh Joseph, and it's about machine learning and funds. So definitely a book that I would recommend. Advances in Financial Machine Learning.
What's your favorite movie or TV show about trading?
Billions lately has been my favorite.
What's the best piece of advice that you've received about trading?
Set money aside.
If you could go back in time and give a piece of advice to the younger you, what would it be?
Avoid penny stocks.
Last question for today, Ilana. Favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Drinking coffee, watching indie flicks, but the best ever is like being a kid with my daughter, going to playground and doing arts and crafts.
Ilana, where can people find you on social media, and give us a website to check out?
Sure. The website is tokenai.io. And social media, I'm the best with email. I must be really old school, but Ilana at tokenai.io. ILANA. It's my first name.
Ilana, this was a blast. Thank you so much for coming on Futures Radio Show today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for myself or my guests, please visit futuresradioshow.com and sign up to be a premium member for free. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes.